praise Yahweh Shem Yoshua Bashim Kakadash. Honors to the elders of the apostles and the men in the truth on down, guarding this truth. Call Yahweh Shem Yoshua Bashim Kakadash. Give all and give praise at the Wadi Yahweh Shem Yoshua for putting the elders apostles on down and the men in the truth regarding this truth and knowledge. Call Yahweh Shem Yoshua Bashim Kakadash. Give all praise Yahweh Shem Yoshua Bashim Kakadash. U.S. expels Venezuela migrants back to Mexico. So they expelled back to, they were trying to get clearance to go into U.S. They were, so to apply, for clearance entry for U.S., but they were expelled, going back to Mexico. So U.S. expelled Venezuela migrants to Mexico. Expel. Meaning.
Expel.
Shalak.
Expel. Expel.
Expel. Deprive someone of membership of or involvement in the school or other organization. So they weren't allowed to do certain things. They were pretty much thrown out, banned, the bar, thrown out. So they weren't allowed to participate or be able to do something. In this case, come to the U.S., man. Force someone to leave a place, especially a country. For example, migrants. Force out or eject something, especially from a body. Left out, discharge, eject, force out. And that's what happened. They were forced out, man. And you see in a major exodus of people trying to come here in the United States, man. And the scripture talks about in Jeremiah 50 and 33, talking about, I'll get that. The full meaning of expel is to force out, man. Force out, kick out, exile. For example, that Israel, when they were exiled from their land, and they were dispersed and scattered all four corners of the earth, man, as scripture says, Deuteronomy 28 and 64, man, for example. They shall be scattered among all the nations and worship other idols, even wood and stone. Paraphrasing. So they were exiled, man. They were forced out. Because of what? In this case, because of the siege, when it came in relating to Vespasian, Titus, and Domitian. But they were kicked out ultimately because they sinned against the Lord. They transgressed against the Lord. So that was a punishment, man. So their enemies allowed to come upon them, siege upon them, and they were forced out, man. So they fled. Get the word Exodus? Again? Exodus, a mass departure of people, especially immigrants, the migrants. So that's what you're seeing, a mass departure coming in from different countries to try to come in here, man. But a lot of them are getting pushed back out, man. Because you're seeing as a situation with the migrants being pushed to different major cities. Some flew up to Martha's Vineyard. Some flew to D.C., where the headquarters was out for the vice president. Some flew up to New York. Some were even knocking on doors for help, man. So they were scattered all forward. all over the place. DC, Florida, Midwest, Chicago, different cities, man. So Exodus is pretty much a withdrawal, evacuation, leaving. Exit, migration, immigration, diaspora. Example of that dispersion of Jews, people beyond Israel, man. So dispersion. Shalakia, diaspora. Shalakia, diaspora. So the diaspora, shalak, a dispersion of the Jewish people beyond Israel. So the diaspora, they were scattered. They fled and scattered all four corners throughout the diaspora, man. So that major exodus, symbolically, they're leaving. Fast forward now, they're leaving a place, being exiled out, scattered. Some leaving for a variety of reasons, violence and different things, or to come to receive that American dream, so-called American dream in America. So they leave in their respective countries under certain conditions because of violence and economy and different things, and they come into U.S. for to seek the that better life. So symbolically, they're being dispersed again from there, whatever they came from, man. Let's get some scriptures. Jeremiah. It pretty much is a major crisis relating to, because a lot of people don't really want them in their areas, man. For example, like up in New York, they had a state of emergency relating to, because the migrants were all over the place, asking for assistance, knocking on doors. So the citizens, they were helping, but they really wanted them out of there, man. Because they look at them as an eyesore, man. Jeremiah 50 and 33, I believe. Let me see. Thus saith the Lord, Yahweh of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah, which is the northern and southern tribe, were oppressed together. Where would they be oppressed? The land of Ashtaroth, which would be the land of the north, and that's where the majority of them going to be. And all that took them captive held them fast, and they refused to let them go, like the previous Egypt, man. The Pharaoh, when he refused to let him go, until eventually certain things happened upon him where he had to let him go. So that's symbolically, man. That relates to pretty much captivity, man. So they would be in captivity together, specifically in the land of the north, man. Even though they're scattered all over the world, because Scripture says, Deuteronomy 28:64, thou shalt be scattered among all the nations, and worship other gods, even wood and stone, man. So they're scattered all over the place, man. All over the diaspora. Let me get Deuteronomy real quick. A few scriptures. Let me get that 64 real fast. Get a few scriptures in Deuteronomy, Lord willing. And the Lord shall scatter, and that scatter goes to dispersion, man. Disperse, scatter. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth even to the other. So they all four corners, man. They from one end of the earth to the other, man. Israelites, they're scattered in places that you never heard of, man. And there thou shalt serve other gods, because they're going to serve other gods. You know, they're going to worship other gods, other religions. That goes to idolatry, graven images, other images, which neither nor their fathers have known, even wood and stone. That goes to the graven images, the wood and stone. So they're going to worship things that they never known of, their fathers have never known of. Strange graven images and idols and different things. And that's what you're seeing. And they're going to be scattered all four corners of the earth, man. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. So your foot's not going to have rest, because they're constantly moving from place to place. And they're not going to have no ease, man, among the nations, man. But the Lord shall give thee a trembling heart, which is a mind, failing eyes, and the sore and the sorrow of mind. So you're gonna be lamenting and mourning of mind, failing of eyes, a trembling of heart. Your foot's not gonna have rest. You're not gonna have at peace. That's part of the curses, man. And most of all, the other nations are not going to respect you. I'll go to Deuteronomy 28 and 37 in a minute. Because going back to Psalms 83, when the Confederate, pretty much had that, right, to the other nations Confederate today. Pretty much, they had all of them collaborated together against you, man. And that relates to that Confederate makes that agreement or treaty, man. So their agreement was to go against, and treaty agreement, no matter speaking that specific word, agreement to go against you. These other nations having that agreement to go against the nation of Israel, relating to Psalms 83, man. Let's get Confederate. To join by agreement or treaty. Let me see, what other one? Person who works with, especially, or something secret or illegal. So there's that person who works with, especially in something secret or illegal. Accomplice, associate, partner, accomplice, better. So the associates with all these other nations, partners with these other nations to ultimately bring the hammer down on the nation of Israel, man. So they were Confederate, they made an alliance, they made a treaty, they made an agreement to go against the nation of Israel, relating to Psalms 83. And that's part of the curses, man. Because these nations would come upon Israel relating to, because ultimately start with sin, man. They violated, sacrilege, violation, offense against Yahweh B'Shem Yeshua, relating to the commandments, the laws, man. So the Lord used these other nations for punishment upon Israel, man. Sin is what? Transgression of the law, man. Transgression, violation, sacrilege, which is offense, man, against the law. And ultimately, wages of sin is what? Equals death, man. Sin is the main reason why the Israel has to go through what they have to go through. S-I-N, man. Let's go back to 65. So among the nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. But the Lord shall give thee a trembling heart and a failing eyes and sorrow of mind. So you're not gonna have ease, man. It's all part of the curses, man. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee. So you're not gonna know, what's gonna happen to you, man. A good example of that is when they were in slavery, man, traveling on them ships, man, in slavery, man. They didn't know what was going to happen. They didn't even know what day and time, month was going on, man. So, in thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and thou shalt have no assurance of thy life. So you're gonna be pretty much that failing heart, that fear of mind, that fearful mind. You're not gonna know what's gonna happen to you from day to day, man. And that's what happened with them, and relating to captivity. They didn't know what's gonna happen to them from day to day, regarding their stated condition, man. In the morning thou shalt say, would God if it were even, and at evening thou shalt say, would God it were morning, for the fear of thy heart wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thy eyes which shalt thou see. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again in ships. So they travel again to a new Egypt in ships, man. By the way whereof spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold into your enemies for bondmen, bondwoman, and no man shall buy thee. That relates to redeem thee back. The only one that can redeem thee back is the one, who ultimately, relating to the curses, put these on. This relates to Yahweh Bashim Yoshai, man. So that's part of the punishment, man. So let's fast forward to a new Egypt, man, where both the northern and southern will be captivity or oppressed together, relating to Jeremiah 50 and 33, man. And that's what you're seeing, man. Especially in the land of the north specifically, because that's where the bulk of them are going to be. Scripture, let me go to Deuteronomy 28 and 16. Cursed shall thou be in the city, and accursed thou shalt be in the field. So in the field, the country, or in the city, thou shalt be accursed, man, because these curses are going to follow thee, man. Whether in the city, or the suburbs, the country, these curses will follow. That's part of that, man. Go to Deuteronomy 20 and 37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, a byword. So pretty much you're going to become a mockery among these nations, man. Among all the nations, whether the Lord shall lead thee. So you're going to be a reproach, a mockery, something to mock at, man. A gazing stock, man. And that's what these nations have become, man. Go to moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee. That's the main point, man. These curses are like plagues that are going to follow a specific nation of people that Deuteronomy 28 was designed for, man, and overtake thee until thou destroy thee, man. because thou what? Hearken not into the voice of the Lord thy God to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. So that's the main point. Not hearkening heed into the commandments. So the consequence of that would be these curses, for example, to follow those people that the laws were set. The scripture talks about, for you only have I known, so you are punished, man. You know what I mean? That specific people that the Lord have known specifically, that's what it's talking about, because they gave, those things were given to them now, which is the so-called black, Spanish, Native Americans, and the ones that may look like other nations, because we've been scattered among other nations, but their seed line, their pedigree, their lineage goes back to being an Israelite, and that the speckled bird, ones who might look like the other nations, for example, Ammon or Moabite or even Edom, man, because we've been scattered among these nations, but their seed line goes back to being an Israelite, man, because we've been scattered among these other nations. So many of the men procreated with the women of the other nations that had offsprings. So the offspring's going to look some like of those nations. So it will only be common sense that you're going to look like the other nations. In a matter of speaking, to make it easy, Israel's going to have a lot of different looks, a lot of different flavors, a lot of different colors, man. Because when you scatter among all different nations, you might take up to look like some of them nations, but the seed line, which goes to Numbers 1 and 18, the seed line, which goes to your lineage, pedigree, and your lineage, and your seed line to the Father, man. And it also relates to the poles relating to the head tribes of the 12 tribes of Israel as well, twofold. So, going back to Deuteronomy 28 and 45, that's the reason, man, because they didn't hearken and heed to the Lord. So the Lord's going to send these curses upon them, man. This was something short relating to that, through scriptures. Because the point is, they're fleeing from one place to find comfort, to find ease. You know what I mean? From one place they were at that wasn't a place of comfort because they're under the curses, it's not going to be. To flee to another place that's not going to welcome them, that's not going to be a place of comfort again. So, so Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, fits those specific people, man. You can debate whether it fits them or not, but it fits a certain people, man. And that being said, I hope this helped this brother Zayab, which means wolf. Give all praise Yahweh Bashem, Yahshua Bashem, Rakakada Shalom.